What's up, people, and welcome to the book club with one mother, three sisters, and a whole lot of hot takes. This is The Family Plot. I'm Angel, the host and the heart of the crew, and I would be joined by my baby sister, Cam, our resident conspiracy theorist, but she is not here tonight. I am joined by our mama, Lisa, matriarch and occasional voice of reason, and we are joined by Glenna, my sister-in-law, with the insightful takes. Okay,
Hello.
so here's how we get down. Each month, we discuss a book of our choosing. Every week, I'll share a brief summary of the chapters we've read, and then we each pick a discussion question to answer. We'll also share our first impressions, predictions, or whatever else comes up along the way. All right, so pull up a chair, get cozy as we get into this month's book right here on The Family Plot, where every chapter digs deep. All right, ladies, are we ready to get into the summary for this week? I know I am. Okay. Um, Let me start the slides. Where is it? Okay. This week we are covering chapters 8 through 15 of Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. Let's get into it. All right. So Emilia and Wrath battle Victoria's wolf army. Wrath is stabbed with a poison dagger. Number two, Emilia wakes imprisoned with Envy, who reveals her shadow magic and warns Victoria wants to remove her human heart to restore her goddess power. Number three, Celestia, the crone from the second book, is actually the twins' true mother and creator of the underworld. She appears and traps Victoria so Emilia and Envy can escape. Uh, then Amelia learns that she and Victoria once ruled the House of Vengeance and were used by witches to start a war between Wrath and Pride. Their memories were erased and their goddess hearts replaced with humans' ones. And last, after escaping, Emilia returns, or she reunites with Wrath, learns Vesta's death may have been fake, and encounters Blade the vampire and Cersei, the first witch, who both claim to seek an alliance, but Wrath doesn't trust them. And then there's that. So let's get into it. First impressions, lady. Glenna, why don't you go first?
Well, my first impressions was, thank God we're finally getting some answers. I
And to
mean,
that I
given
say, hallelujah.
given everything that, with every week it's I have a question about this. I have a question about this. I have a question about this. I wonder what this is. I wonder who this is. I wonder how this is relevant. And now the answers are finally coming. Um, Not gonna lie, while I'm still slightly cautious, I do like Envy a little more than I did before. Because while he will always be out for himself, I do appreciate his, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. Um, the Circe involvement in the last part of our section was okay, I wasn't expecting that. Um, but I really loved how at that part, I really loved how the entire court kind of came together in one cohesive unit for both of them. It wasn't just his court that she was being allowed into. It seemed like they were now mimicking both of them. And I liked that. And that's really all I had this week as far as first impressions.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Are we yielding the floor?
We are yielding the floor.
Okay. Mother, your first impressions, please, ma'am.
My first impression was, what in the dysfunctional family plot twist foolishness is this?
Valid.
Baby, I ain't seen so much buffoonery in all my days. But the challenge is, because everybody got some form of dysfunction in the family. I get that. I give you that. This sister, these sisters, these twins. I don't understand why Victoria just didn't open up and say, look here, sis, this is what's going down. We this, that. Why she keep snatching her soul out to reveal shit? Just lay the shit out. Scoop. I'm sorry. I'm cussed again.
No, you ain't. No, you ain't.
I'm infuriated because I'm emotionally distraught with all the family drama that I'm dealing with. Not our family, but other family drama that I'm dealing with on my level from other people. But I think the part that gets me going is that as your sister, your twin even, come out and say it. Just say the stuff. Why you beating around the bush? You trying to make me remember stuff that I done forgot because you know I got a human heart and you want to rip out my heart and get around my heart so I can all this and this. Okay, if you know what went on and all of that other stuff, why don't you just go ahead and tell me? And then when she finally starts spilling the beans, you could have done all that way before now. And then let's talk about these brothers. These here brothers. Baby, I will say, because they demons, I understand their natures and their houses. But the fact that Raph will rip every one of them apart because he thought they had done something to Amelia, and then turn it right around, and he's like, because like when he was talking in 13 about what he would do to her sister if she ever snatched her soul again, and then said, I think what tickled me with these brothers is that then he said, you know, 3 of the brothers already out for her life. They out to kill her because of what she done. Then 2 of them, they easily swayed. They easy to convince. And then the last one, was it Gluttony? He's
Sloth.
like, Sloth. Yeah, Sloth don't care. He just gonna go along with the majority. I said, okay, I'm dropping it. Okay, if that ain't that stuff, when one fight, you all fight kind of concept, I just fell out at that point. I was just like, okay, that ain't nothing but I can hate you all year long, but if you fighting, we fight. Let somebody mess with you, we all beating them down. and then when the fight over, I'm still mad at you, and we ain't getting down. But yeah, let somebody come up against you. We gonna everybody gonna jump in and beat their tail. I said, all right, families, because that's real. That's real. That's real. That is so real. I know family right now. They don't even they won't talk to each other. Can't stand each other. But let the other sibling have to go against somebody. Oh, the other sister right there. I said, y'all don't even like it. Y'all can't be it. Y'all don't even do family holiday functions together because y'all so y'all can't stand each other. But let her call, let him say, this nigga trying to fight me, and they is right there ready to be down. I said, if I didn't see all of that right there in wrath, I thought I was gonna die. I said, okay, this is nothing but real life imitating itself. I got tickled. That was my chuckle for the day. But yeah, the level of this I do believe that child ain't dead. Cause like they said, if Victoria really killed that woman, why she ain't, and she wanted to start a war, she would have done it by now. But I think she is playing with people, and she's trying to she's manipulating people to get what she wants, and she's toying with their emotions, and that's the part I don't like. I'm just like, baby, come on, say it flat out, tell it all, and be done. but I like the dynamic of seeing family dynamics in characters because it makes you truly understand uh human emotion and stuff when you looking at this foolishness in real life. You be like, oh yeah, that's like so and so and such and such. And I it's almost humorous when art imitates life. And with that, I yield.
Yes, mother, could not agree more. The brothers, or at least Raph's description of how the brothers would come together, my first impression was very much, we're brothers, we're happy and we're singing. um, yes, I also agree Victoria is just doing a lot in the terms of dragging this whole revelation of information out. Not a fan of that. Celestia the crone being the twins' actual mother, much like Glenna, I'm like, oh, okay, we getting some answers. But then I'm just like, girl, you couldn't have said that when we was over in book 2, when y'all had finally met and you sent home that quest to get your grimoire. No, we had to wait till book 3. Okay, fine. Also the knowledge that both twins are not actually witches but goddesses whose memories have been, taken from them and replaced with human hearts. It's just like, I really wish I could put like a graphic in here of Cardi B saying, what was the reason? What was the reason? I, as much as this explanation in these chapters gave, I still find myself with more questions. I'm trying to give this book a chance though, because as y'all know, I don't really have the highest opinion of this book right now. But I am excited to find out more. Like, what was it all for? What was book 1 and 2 for? If we are talking about these entities being on the brink of war, we're talking about alliances with vampires and other creatures, like, okay, is it really worth all that? Is it? Apparently to Victoria it is. And I'm curious to see what our main character heroine does with this new information, how she plans to move forward in her marriage to Wrath, how she plans to, maintain connection with her sister while still trying to find more information. I'm not as interested to find out whether or not Vesta is alive, because I'm just like, okay, unless your death really or alivement has anything to do with these two main storyline, I don't really care. Like, you could be dead, you could be gone, whatever. But apparently it's an integral part of the story because we keep having this conversation about who actually killed her. So I'm just staying tuned at this point. Got my ears open, eyes peeled, ready for whatever's coming in the next week's chapters. With that, I yield. Oh, Mom, you have a hand raised.
Glenna had a question, but I also had one too. So Glenna, go ahead and share it. She had her hand up.
I didn't have a question. I just had a comment. My comment is simply because when you were talking about the sisters and the communication, my first thought always comes to Victoria has a really odd way of trying to make an ally.
Yes.
It's very, you're wanting, because in order for, kind of what I gathered, in order for House Vengeance to truly rise to what it was at one time, you need both sisters. So at some point, both sisters would need to work together. Except you basically keep kidnapping her. You keep pulling her away from her spouse, except you won't explain why. You keep telling her that, she's got to realize her powers, but instead of, I don't know, giving her a path to do that, you just try to force it out of her.
Exactly.
It all boils down to, if we could have a 5-minute cohesive conversation, things might be a little different.
And that's what I don't
And
understand.
that's the only comment I had to add to that.
The werewolf you got here. Hey,
Um, Unfortunately, Mom, you're breaking up a little bit.
oh, I'm sorry. I was
Try
just saying. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I said, unfortunately, she doesn't need Domenico to snatch her out of nowhere. She can just, hey, we need to chat. Let's meet. And she and her sister could meet. They at one point they were gonna meet at the shifting house. Okay, well let's call it what it is. Pick a spot, have a meeting, and yeah, all these hoops and snatches and all that other stuff. I see why Rad's ready to kill her. I see why. But now, with my question was, remember back when he first took her to the Crone, and she was still, she got the spells and all that stuff to get her together. But then she heard there was a statue of some type of pool or something in the castle, and she said she could hear voices, and we were trying to figure out who those voices was. And initially we thought the Crown dog was trapped in there. They funny his dog. We were speculating all of that.
Hang on, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still breaking up real bad. I'm
New
trying
to me.
something.
Well, my
There we go.
question was, who was the voice she was hearing back at Raph's castle when she passed that statue? Since we know it's not the Crone's daughter, or it's not the first witch's daughter, or the Crone's daughter. Who do you all speculate was that voice she was hearing now?
I'm not sure. I feel like when we first heard them voices, I felt like it might have been Victoria. But now I don't know. I really don't know. Heck, it might even be Vesta's voice.
Possible. Yeah, because that's what I first thought, remember we were talking about could have been her daughter trapped because they said she was keeping her daughter close or something like that, or she was gonna do to keep, I don't know, she hid her daughter away. But I'm like, how did the Crown hide her daughter away? But I guess, like you said, they put human hearts in them. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot up in the air with how they have decided to move and shift and change things. It's
Yeah.
interesting to say the least.
Yeah, but with that I yield. I just remembered when she was revealed, I said, well, if she the daughter, who was the voices we was hearing?
Mm-hmm.
That was my question.
Could
And
be
with
her
that, I yield.
memories.
Could be who?
It could have been her memories trying to break through.
Oh, that's a good point.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a good one. Because we know she was formerly his wife in the other life. So yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good one. Glad I hadn't thought about that. Thank you. Well, with that, I yield.
All right, ladies, into the discussion questions. We have sisterhood and betrayal, identity and transformation, the cost of power, and truth and legacy. Since Cam is not here, whatever the remaining question will be, we'll all answer it together. So, Glenna, go ahead and pick your question of the night, ma'am.
I'll take identity and transformation.
All right. What might shedding mortality symbolize for Amelia? Freedom, danger, or transformation?
And there being all of the above.
Okay.
Because they've already, Victoria wants to essentially rip her heart out in order to force the spell lock on. Both Envy and Wrath have indicated that part of the transformation, while she still doesn't have enough of her powers back to make sure she survives. And no matter what, as she sheds her mortality, she's going to transform. Because she's either going to die or she's going to become the true goddess that she is. Excuse me. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be freedom in this regard. Because none of the, for lack of a better term, denizens of hell or the underworld are truly able to transition in any space outside of their own realm with any kind of freedom. I mean, in order to go into another prince's realm, they have to have an invitation or it's an act of war. They can't go to the mortal world unless they're summoned. They can't go into the shadow world unless they are a part of that world, or in Wrath's position, the king of the underworld. There's no freedom of movement in the underworld. So I don't think her regaining her goddess status really will increase her mobility in that world, because there are apparently inherent laws and structure in place. Now what that's going to look like going forward, I don't know, but it seems like to be a denizen of the underworld in any capacity, you have restrictions and bindings in place. There are things you can and cannot do, and I think that has everything to do with the fact that it is the underworld and nothing more. And even to top that off right now, the witches have bound everybody in hell right now. So that's an interesting thing to see develop. And while it might seem like a freedom from her current circumstance of being under a spell, being locked into her mortality and things like that, I don't think it will be a true freedom. It's just going to be shifted from one set of rules to another. As far as danger, I think, in all honesty, she's going to be in just as much danger as a goddess as she is mortal, except as a goddess in immortality, she's less likely to permanently die from that circumstance. Very similar to the princes of hell. They get, stabbed through the heart, they die for half a minute, and then they poof, they're back to being, whole. She will gain that particular trick. But if she, in the transformation, dies, dies in her mortality, then she's going to die permanently. So it'll be interesting. I don't think, as far as, plot devices go, killing your main character completely off is going to happen. So I think she's going to successfully shred her mortality, and that she is going to become the goddess that she is. But I don't think that she's going to take the form that she did before. I think the kind of snippets that we're getting of the way the sisters were before her previous self fell in love with Wrath, I think she's going to take on the path that she'd started on at that point. And I think she's going to move forward down that line, which is going to totally piss off her sister. And, she's kind of being a vengeful bitch at the moment. So, have fun with that. But I think going forward, she might find she has more allies among the princes than she thinks, because I agree with something that she is a character thought of in like the last chapter that I read was, and I read into 16, so I might be pulling this from 16, and I apologize if I am. That what were the brothers' relationships before the sisters decided to manipulate Pride and Wrath?
Mm.
Because, you know, she notices that even with their bickering, there is loyalty, there is affection towards the siblings, even though they, you know, snipe at each other more than one would think. So if there is that affection there, was that more fully realized prior to them fighting amongst each other over this situation, or is that always been the way they are? And if it isn't the way they've always been, she might end up finding allies among them. I think especially Envy, because he is an ass of the highest order, but he's a resourceful one. Gotta give him that. And with that, I yield up. Lisa, you had a question?
Yes. I too was curious as to the relationship with the brothers. And it wasn't so much a question I had, but just a comment. Because I agree with you in the sense that I don't think they're going to kill off the main character. However, I'm curious as to if she becomes the full goddess and takes and if she has the option, let me say that, to become the full goddess and still have her house and be connected to Wrath, because that question came up that we didn't get the answer of in 13 about, because she was like, so how do you feel, when Victoria was trying to, get her to transfer over and all of that to get her house, and Wrath was like, do you want to restore your house? And she was like, is that going to be a problem for us? And she literally was asking him, is that going to be a problem in terms of us not being married again, or not being a couple, or you not being my husband? Whereas his response was, I'm not going to stop you from doing anything you want to do. And that really wasn't answering the question. So then I had that same question that she has. If I become, if I connect with my sister and open up this house, where does that put our relationship in standing? Because she can't, it doesn't say she can be part of two houses. So it's like you either in one house or the other. So she was really curious as to how, if she wanted to be with her sister and have their house reestablished, how is that going to affect her relationship with him, knowing she completing the marriage bond would be part of House Wrath? So I'm curious myself as to how that does she have an option there? And will that come out and be realized? That was what I was going to say. But yeah, I was curious, like you, Glenna, in terms of how was the brothers' relationships, because we know they do have a sense of togetherness, even though they are arbitrarily just separate entities and don't come over here, don't come over here, don't come over here. But when stuff go down, they get together. So what was going on that y'all needed to fool them to try to put them against each other? Was somebody trying to create a war? Because that's what it sounds like. Y'all were trying to create a war. And you over here dating Wrath, and you over there dating him, dating Pride or whatever, so that Wrath can take off and go crazy when he sees you with his other brother. And in turn, that got messed. So I'm just curious as to what were they trying? What were the other entities that had them doing that trying to accomplish in the first place? And with that, I yield.
So, Mom, I could speak to that. The witches who, or specifically the first witch, as I read it, she was trying to prevent her daughter from marrying Pride, and her method for doing that was to incite war between Wrath and Pride, so that she, the daughter, could see Pride fighting his brother over another woman, because they they switched them. They had Victoria go to seduce Pride, and Emilia was supposed to seduce Wrath, but because they are twins, Wrath
Was
was
Amelia supposed to be Pride's wife?
no, he just happened to develop feelings for her and profess his love for her, but no, that wasn't part of the plan.
So who was the
I-
original wife? She was trying to. Yeah,
Go
Glenna,
ahead.
who was the original person?
I think Pride was originally involved with the first witch's daughter, who is a completely separate person from the twins. The twins are the daughters of the crone. The first witch is an actual witch. So if she was trying to prevent her daughter from being too involved with Pride, and so they
They
had
sent in
the
the Crown's
twins,
daughters.
yes, to seduce, unknowing that one would fall in love with the one she was seducing. And then the other, because I don't think her original self falling in love with Wrath was originally planned.
No, I know that part wasn't. I guess maybe that's where I got confused. Thank you for clarifying that.
At least
'Cause
that's how I look at it. From the context cues from the book, I don't think the original love interest, the first witch's daughter, and the twins are not the same people.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's all I had. And thank you for
On
clarifying.
these question, ladies.
Next question.
All right. Well, Mother, it's your turn. Pick your poison.
Let's see. Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Could be. Let's go for Truth and Legacy. Well, Truth. Oh, Jesus, these are all good. Truth and Legacy for 200, Alex.
Truth and Legacy. With Celestia's return and new alliances forming, who do you think Emilia can truly trust moving forward?
Her husband. Her husband. She can't trust her sister. Because she out there doing the most, to say the least. Her mom, I'm a little concerned about her mama. I see your hand, give me a minute. I'm concerned about her mama and the fact that you are the crone. Your daughter come up in your residence and you ain't said who popped the dollar dot. I'm so outdone. Why you? And the fact that Wrath walked her in there and she started chuckling, and you trying to shut her up, and you know who she is. You know this woman's child. You know she can bust you out at any moment, and you trying to shut her down and shut her up. Man, you better keep your. She's a good one, cause I'd have said, "Who you talking to?" And you bringing my daughter up in here. See, that's okay. Let me calm down, cause that's where I'd have been. That whole truth. That truth would have been busted out a while ago. I ain't gonna say it. I'm just saying. But yeah, but the fact that her mom neglected to allude to the fact that you my mama in any of this is not the question for me, because then I'm having flashbacks of family distrust. I don't trust mama. The brothers have never been on the line of trust. The demon brothers, you don't trust the demon, because we know what they do. So who's left? Domenico been snatching her soul for the longest, so he ain't nobody to and who's left? She gonna trust her instincts like she been doing, because there ain't nobody left but her and Pride. He is the only somebody that will kill everything for her benefit.
Her and Wrath, you mean?
What I say? Who I say?
Eh?
Wrath. Yeah, that's the only one she could trust. And sometimes I'm skeptical about him some days, because he's been holding back too. I'm just saying. So in the big scheme of things, trust your own instinct. Because people can fail you at any given time. Moving forward, now that she done married this man, she got the little, they got the little feel good going. He even more intense than he was before in terms of his protection over her. But I also understand he is bound by his duties as the leader of his house. So that's why I say I think she can trust, I really believe she can trust her husband, because at this point, he's really meticulous about what he says to other people, so that when he speaks about his house and what standard he's holding them to, he makes sure it does not include the things that she's trying to accomplish, so that she's not held accountable if she does something against what he is expecting of the members of his house. So he still in turn is giving her the freedom to pursue whatever it is she's trying to find out about her sister, and whether or not her sister's involved with his death and all of this, without her suffering at the hands of, or her being held accountable like he would members of his house doing. So she still has freedom and autonomy to do what she needs to do for the answer she needs, even though she's his wife. And I really appreciated how he was specific in the wording he used, because he knows she's not fully a member of House Wrath yet. So in that gave me a little more hope for trusting him. Because let's call it what it is. He could have told her who the hell she was at the beginning too, and we wouldn't have to do 3 books. We could have done 2. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I would say she need to trust herself. She can trust her husband. And that's about it. Because the rest of them are all sus. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Mother, for
You're
that.
welcome.
I did have my hand raised to piggyback off of something Glenna said earlier about envy being resourceful, and it brought me back. If you have your Bibles, it's somewhere in chapter 9. I don't even remember what page, but I had wrote this down. That envy offered to seduce Victoria to distract her. And Amelia was shocked, and he responded to her, "Well, we're at war, Amelia. I'll fuck her senseless if I have to."
I remember that. That was hilarious.
I was hollering. If I must. So yes, envy is a character and resourceful to boot. So that's with that I yield on
Whatever
that.
it takes, girl. Whatever it takes. It's about winning the war.
He said by any means necessary. So for my question, I will choose what do we do? We did this one, we did this one. I'm gonna do cost of power. Was Wrath right to test Amelia's loyalty, or did it cross the line? Yes, Glenna.
Did he test her loyalty, or did his brothers? I read that as his brothers, because he walked in pissed.
Really? Because I thought they were all a part of it.
I don't think so. I don't think he was surprised by the outcome, and I don't think he was necessarily mad that they did it, but I don't think he was directly involved.
So that's why I interpret it as him being part of it, because his anger was not directed at them. As in, like, what y'all do this to me for? That's why I thought, oh, y'all must have had a conversation and tried to suss out Amelia's loyalty prior to any of this.
Oh, I read it as, and I'll back away so you could answer the question, because regardless, the test is a thing. But I honestly read it as pride and envy did this,
Mhm.
and that he just walked in on it and then wasn't necessarily mad that they did it.
Okay. So, in that vein, I'll answer both ways. If, in fact, it was the doing of his brothers and that Wrath had nothing to do with it at all, do I feel like they were right to test her loyalty given their history? Not necessarily, because they wasn't married to Amelia. If Wrath himself tested her loyalty, I would say, yeah, you will within your rights, because you had your heart broke before, you didn't had her ripped from you. I mean, there were all these other factors and all these different layers at play. I feel like it would only have crossed a line if Wrath himself did not have any actual feelings for her. Yes, Mom.
Finish your statement.
Well,
Finish your statement.
I feel like it would have crossed the line if his motivations were to be just as mischievous and just as deceitful and just as manipulative as Victoria. But I can't see that being the case in this instance, because he's been saying for 3 books now how he's been looking for his equal. And so, as any leader of any circle of hell or any organization, you want to vet people properly if you're going to go in partnership with them. So no, I would not think that Wrath would be crossing the line by testing Amelia's boundaries, if my interpretation is correct and that's what he was doing. But if it was just his brothers on some dumb shit, then no, y'all needed to stay in your lane. Yes, mother, you have a hand raised.
I was gonna say, even if it had been him involved in it, because I'm in agreement with Glenna, I thought it was the brothers doing that. And they were doing that, I think, because I think they figured it out. But at any rate, when she up and left, she wasn't trying to leave. Remember, as far as I was concerned, she had fallen in love with him and was looking to be with him. But when she got snatched away and he got cursed, so that anything that he would love, he would lose. So him testing her would not be, I understand the reasoning he would want to test her, but in essence, it wasn't her. He didn't know that initially, but he did know he was cursed and he was doomed to not have anything he loved. And that's why he remained so distant, knowing that this was his wife, because he knew if he expressed his love for her, she was going to be snatched away, because he was still up under that curse. That's why he didn't profess nothing for such a long time. So no, I would have thought twice about, why are you testing her when you know you cursed anyway? She didn't just, you may think she just up and walked away and left you and you couldn't find her. But even if you test her, you know you're cursed. So what would be the point? So until that curse is completely broken, he still had the potential, or this marriage bond is conception, you still run the risk of that what you love being snatched away from you, if that makes sense. That's all I had to share. Glenna had her hand up. What were you gonna say, Glenna?
I found it. Right after the test, he storms in, his attention shot to me, softened for the briefest of moments before he noticed the claw marks down my chest, looking just as bad, if not worse. He turned his frigid gaze back on his brothers, and another icy blast circled the room. Explain now.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
And then it further goes on when she was asking him about the test. She's looking at between pride and envy, asking if it was all of it. Envy said no. He goes, it was his idea, meaning pride.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah, because
Cool.
Pride was on the other end of that test. You know.
Yes. So while I don't necessarily think that, it's great that they had to do that, I understand why they did. And if anybody had the right to test her outside of Wrath, it'd be Pride.
It would be Pride
Because he was also in that.
Agreed. I still feel like what was the reason? Like you could have, I don't know. I feel like you could have tested her loyalty or you could have had the answers you wanted by other means, but Envy didn't need to be a part of that. So with that, I yield.
Well, no, and I understand what you're saying, Angel, but I guess in that same vein, because they do, like, it goes back to that brotherly bond. Hey, you fuck with one of us, you're gonna catch it. And so he was a part of that original ploy because they were trying to take his beloved. That's why they sent Victoria to seduce him. And he was like, okay, they sent you to seduce him, but y'all so-called fell in love. Did you really fall in love? Because then you up and left. So yeah, let's see if this is real. Because he knew what he had with Victoria wasn't real. She up and left too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because he initially was in love with somebody else. That's why they were brought in as a decoy to, trying to keep his mind off the original one he was in love with. And,
I think I'm just looking at this through the eyes of Amelia, who's already been 3 books deep about trying to find answers. And if this just felt like an unnecessary side quest.
It was a very unnecessary quest for her, but, and I'm being a devil's advocate on this one.
Literally.
In that
the devil and his brother.
I'm being the devil's advocate. But in this case, Pride, who was in love with somebody else, was being seduced. And they used Wrath. And they pulled his brother Wrath in under the same vein to keep him from marrying the person he was in love with. Now, mind you, he didn't want to, knowing, and let's remember, when she went away, which was not her own doing, Wrath he went crazy, about to tear up some stuff. So he knew his brother was really in love with this woman, right? So knowing that, and now you're back, because I don't think he initially or really knew the case in which she was snatched away. He just knew she left, and his brother's wrath was out for vengeance for the one he had fallen in love with. So now that you're back, he like, oh, is she really back? Should she be? Hey, is this a real thing? And yeah, at this point, because you played with him and he was in love with you, then you sent your little twin over here to keep me away from mine. Yeah, is this real deal Holyfield? We need to find out. So he can't enlist Wrath to do it because Wrath was already towing up the first time. So he pulled on one of them other brothers and say, hey, you know what? I need to test this chick because she done been through here once before. We need to find out something for real.
So now you're back.
Right. Space. You just walked in and found here with that same look upon your face. I should have changed that demon lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second, you'd be back to bother him and me, not go. Yeah. Walk out the door. Just turn around now. You ain't welcome no more. Once you the one who tried to break him with goodbye, you think I'd crumble? I ain't finna lay down and die. I'm already dead. Nope, not I. That's what I'm saying. He's like, because I will survive. You ain't finna take my brother out again, Missy. Yeah, I'm finna check you. That's what he did. He's like, oh no, you ain't finna come down here and pull that same bull again. That's that brotherly loyalty right there. He's like, nah, we need to check this heifer right here. Cause you ain't finna come down here and do this to Wrath again. Cause he done tore up the place the last time you walked out and left. He ain't finna tear us up again cause you on some foolishness.
Thank you, Mother, for such a colorful assessment. We really
I'm just saying
your passion in book club.
Love y'all too.
Last question of the evening, ladies. We can all answer this with Cam's behalf. Sisterhood and betrayal. How does discovering she was created for manipulation change Amelia's view of herself and Victoria? Anybody?
I feel like she was hurt and betrayed. You took away who I was as a person.
Mhm.
You stripped me of everything I was originally born to be, to play a game with somebody else. And who are you and your elders and your who who are who are you all to take my life to do this? And then at that point, I'm mad at my mama for allowing it. So yeah, betrayal is big on this scale right here. Sisterhood, to me, sisterhood wasn't part of that initial betrayal. The betrayal came when her mother and the elders, along with her mother, snatched them to do this and took away the essence of who she truly was in the beginning. That's so unfair. It'd be different if I volunteered for the job, but no, y'all chose to do this, and I had no say in it. You know, people get to sign up for the army. They ain't, well, at one point they was drafted, but now it's volunteer because you realize drafting folk just don't work out for the best. Sometimes folk do stuff just cause. But in the essence of the bigger scheme of things, you took away my rights. You took away my right to exist how I existed, and that's not okay. In the natural world, the demon world, it ain't okay.
I would agree with that. I would. It's it's no easy feat to believe certain things about yourself all your life and then have to suddenly unlearn all of it. It it's unfair to say the least.
Family hurt all day long. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I feel that way when people who are in cults find out the other side of life, and then they have this overload of emotion because it's like, dag, like it could have been different. It could have been so much different. Or even people who grow up in certain dysfunctional households and have no clue that other people are not living in the same dysfunction. When they get out, they're just like upset because it's like, dang, it didn't have to be like this. There was another door I could have chosen. Yeah, it's infuriating. I do feel like Emilia's a little more motivated to uncover those memories though and step into her goddess power because of this. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like she's still conflicted because when Victoria brought Nona in half beat up, she still wanted to try to strike some sort of uh peace or harmony, knowing what Nona had kept from them. So I think, and maybe that's just the human heart that still resides in her body, but
I think so.
she, yeah, she's very conflicted.
I think it's partly that, and also, regardless of how they came to be in their lives, they did raise them for
Mhm.
20 years. So they did, they didn't just, oh, they weren't treated like like prisoners they were. They were treated as valued members of their family, even if they were being guarded.
Mhm.
So I think there's that confliction in that, in the sense that, you know, I'm mad that they did this, but they also cared about us too. And I also think that she's more inclined to ask questions, to want to know the reasoning behind why they did it. She wants to not just, yeah, you did this, you all should suffer. She wants to actually get to the bottom of the reasons why. Victoria, on the other hand, just wants to burn the house down. It's almost as if Victoria has taken on both goddesses' traits, because she's not just acting as the goddess of death, she's also embodying her sister's fury or vengeance, or I guess it's more the house of vengeance kind of philosophy. But she's more brutal with it. And
Why
one would,
is
I don't know. I don't know if it's simply because she's the goddess of death, and that's the reason why she's more brutal, that she just doesn't see the value of life because she's the goddess of the antithesis of that. Or if in fury, Amelia is also getting understanding, because every time she embodies that emotion, she also starts to see the world around her more clearly. And I'm wondering if her nature is more a duality with her sister rather than a complement.
Mm. Is it possible that because Amelia has yet to get her memories back, that Victoria is compensating for that lack of fury?
I was
It's
thinking that.
possible.
I was thinking that she's compensating and hoping that in her compensation tactics, it will trigger something else in Amelia. Because I also think, I mean, in the fact of being betrayal, Victoria is angry. Let's just call it what it is. She's
Mhm.
mad that they were betrayed in that way. And once she learned, she was on her head to, hey, oh no, we need to restore our house. And she was one of those, by any means necessary, I'm gonna restore my house. And even though my sister ain't here, let me do everything I can to get her as close to getting there as we can. You know, that's why she staged her death, knowing her sister would be furious. You know, so she's meticulous in what she's doing, but she too was betrayed. And it's like, the fact that she was betrayed, she's using that betrayal, that feeling of betrayal, to get her sister back to, I would say, the glory, but to the level of where they were, because she feels like y'all took that away from us and we need to get what we had back.
So, in this same vein, I guess the latter half of the question is, how does Amelia's view, or how does discovering she's created from manipulation change her view of Victoria? If I recall, she was pissed off at Victoria when she realized she faked her death. Now
She started pissed off.
her view is changing because she understands what fueled her to fake her death in the first place. Not that she agrees with her, but I feel like she's not trying to excuse it. She legitimately wants to comprehend her now
Yeah,
that she's trying to comprehend herself.
I think so. I think because she now understands why Victoria's doing what she's doing. You're right. She is looking to have an understanding of her sister because she's just been identified as who we were growing up is not who we were.
Mm-hmm.
We were, you know, with these human hearts, we became different people from who we actually are. So now that I know you are who you are, I have to relearn a whole nother individual, because you not really who we grew up. We're not who we grew up as. Like Lena said, these people loved us, cared for us, nurtured us. So yeah, her human side kicked in when she saw Nona come up in there beat up. But then when Nona was speaking against her, she was like, well, goddamn, no wonder Victoria's kicking your tail. You know, and I feel bad about it, but you make it hard to feel bad for you. You know, you over here, I'm over here talking about please don't, and you over here cursing my name. Come on. But you Nona, you raised us. You loved us. Why are you talking to us like this? And so she's seeing Nona's true colors. And now it's like, no wonder Victoria kicking the hell out of you.
All
It's
very
bad enough you
appreciated.
lied to us. And now you keep making sure we don't come back. You made sure you didn't hex the gates so we can't cross back over. What? Where the love at, Granny? Where the love? That's what you gotta admit, y'all laughing, but y'all gotta admit she was in that thing like I'm over here shackled to the dang gold wall, and you come in, and I'm trying to be compassionate, tell sister stop beating on her. This was our granny, and you over here talking about us like we the worst thing in captivity. Oh yeah, where the love go? What's all this we had growing up? Where it go? So she's not only is she said that's the level of betrayal I think they both have hit, not just from Nona, but overall from everybody down the line. I think that was just like the last straw at that point, because they grew up in love. They really did. They grew up in love. They grew up in understanding. They were being taught lots of things. So she grew up in a place of peace and love, to come to find out, oh, you didn't really love us. Even though that's what you showed us, you were trying to keep us from who we truly are. And that's a whole nother level of betrayal, despite the fact that our mother agreed to all of that foolishness. You know, so yeah, I feel her the way she like you said, at first she was mad at Victoria. At first she was upset and hurt that she was dead. Then she was mad at her when she found out she did it herself and plotted that thing out. Now she's at, okay, I don't agree with her tactics, but I understand my sister a little bit right now. And I'm starting to see why she moving the way she moving. So she's no longer angry with Victoria. And she's not even angry at herself. She's still just at the phase of, I need to learn. I need to know what the heck I missed. Everything y'all done blocked out. But she doesn't want to lose her heart, because she feels like if she lose her heart, she's going to lose, even though she's going to gain who she was, she's going to lose a piece of herself that she has come to know. And that's where her inner battle is coming from. She is battling her thought of herself, is that she's got a whole inner turmoil going on, because she doesn't really want to lose who she is. And she's not quite sure, if she lose her heart, what is that going to mean for Wrath? If she goes back to who she was, what does that mean about her relationship with Wrath? Same thing with, if I go into do this house with my sister, where does that stand with me and Wrath? So she's torn her own self. And this a total internal struggle that she's battling with. And I feel sorry for her, because, you know, like you said earlier, she gains to lose. You were talking about, I think it was Glenna was talking about in that first question you answered, where you said that, you know, is she in danger? Does she have freedom? Yeah, you're gonna lose something in here. You're gonna be free from one world, but be bound to another. And she's not quite sure what she's going to be bound in once she releases her human heart. She's I'm gonna be one way, but what else am I going to lose in the process of doing that? And that's where I think that's where her internal struggle is right now.
Good stuff, Mom. Ladies, any final questions, predictions, remarks before I give closing statements?
I need them to quit playing with this girl and let her memories come on back.
Hello. About
Stop
time.
snatching. I hope, for Victoria's sake and Domenico's sake, they don't snatch that girl back no more. Cause Hades, you think we in Hades now, baby? Hades ain't felt nothing
When
Let them
I
snatch that
say
girl again.
Wrath is not playing no games.
Wrath is not playing, and he done told her she gonna have a cruel, unnaturally cruel demise. It ain't even gonna be nothing left for my hounds when I get through with her. I said, uh-oh, that took a chill down in my spine. I said, oh, wait, hold on. That's a whole nother level. Ooh, boo. That when you gonna destroy a whole soul and ain't gonna leave nothing for the dogs to munch on? What you go? Ooh, what kind of torture you talking?
Mess. A whole mess.
I pray she don't snatch her no more.
But ladies, as I close, Amelia now knows the truth about her past, and she must decide who she truly is. Her loyalties are shifting and power is awakening, and she stands between vengeance and mercy, facing choices that will determine not just her fate, but the fate of everyone around her. Tune in next week as we get into week 3, aka chapters 16 through 23 of Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. We will also be spinning the wheel for the next month's book. So see y'all next week. Bye.
Till next week.
Yes, right here on the Family Plot, where every chapter digs deep.